Hey, what's up guys? This time I want to show you my new custom kayak trailer. This thing started off life as a 1970 teeny catamaran trailer, and I customized it to fit both kayaks, and I want to show you everything I did to it. First things first, let's take it on a road trip, do a shakedown test, make sure that everything's how it should be. Oh, it's not that bad at all, dude.
No, that's not bad at all. It's so long.
Welcome to J West Fishing.
Wait a minute, I love this! Out they go fishing, Robert and Daddy.
My son's kayak weighs about 50 pounds, so for me it wasn't too difficult to get down from the top rack. You got your life vest on? Yep. Morning. Good, how are you? All right, we're here at the lake. Trailer towed beautifully. Super solid going down the road, no sway, very minimal bounce. And pulling the kayak up to the water and pulling it off the trailer was such a breeze. When we're done, we'll go back up and we'll talk about my trailer. Keeping the front end of my kayak on the trailer while trying to load it was a real struggle. I'm gonna have to tie a bungee off to the front to keep that front end up there, or maybe a rope, or even a winch system. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments. So I got these pins up front. I've got a padlock through one of them. The tongue's too long to fit in the garage, so I just unpin it. Pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Originally, the tongue was bolted in with carriage bolts, and it had a square hole for the carriage bolt to fit into. I went ahead and was donated some weld washers from my friend Tim. I drilled the holes out, welded the weld washers in, and now I'm using these quick disconnect pins. I've got one up front and one in the back so that I can easily remove the tongue and fit it into my garage without any hassle. First thing I did was strip it completely down. I sanded it all, I did some rust treatment, wire wheel, everything I could to get all of the years of corrosion off of this thing. Then I painted it with some Rust-Oleum Performance Enamel, the big gallon can. I didn't need anywhere near that much. Got a couple rattle cans for touch-up. This platform, I just set it on top of the trailer, made some marks, cut it, and painted it. Originally, I had the idea of getting maybe a pressure-treated, waterproof piece of plywood, but I found that kind of hard to source and pretty expensive, so I really downgraded that. I went with the really cheap 1/2-inch plywood, the cheapest Home Depot had, but I used some waterproof sealant, painted it like a light gray. It looks really nice. And I bought these 3-inch PVC pipes. These pipes cost me more than the trailer did. This was like $115 for a single 10-foot section. I cut them 6 foot on the bottom and 4 foot up top, which is probably just about perfect for this. I replaced the wheel bearings, the seals. I upgraded the wheels from the little 8-inch wheels to these 12-inch. Upgrading the wheels cost me probably twice as much as the trailer did. Those were expensive. I went with 3. I do have a spare. I got a basic spare tire carrier off of Amazon. So after taking the axle apart, replacing bearings and seals, I took my leaf springs down to a place called Chariot Leaf Spring in the Inland Empire. The main springs were good, a couple of them were cracked. That was an unforeseen expense, but I ended up getting a more solid trailer. I replaced the bushings in the leaf spring with some Performance Energy urethane bushings. Now, I also added this rolling jack up here in the front. This makes it super easy for me to move around. If I need to work in my garage, I can just push this trailer out. No problem at all. All I have to do is take the tongue off and I can bring it in here, store it. The kayaks are properly stored also, which is a nice bonus to this trailer because I used to kind of set them up on racks or wherever I could. and they were always in the way. I replaced all the hardware with stainless, which was definitely overkill. I know I didn't need to do that, but it's nice to have it. I knew I wanted to make this a double-decker, so I got this 100-wall, 1-inch square tubing. Using a miter saw and a metal cutting blade, I quickly cut all of the pieces that I needed to build the upper rack. Alright, I got all the pieces cut that I need to build my upper rack and my vertical supports, and now I need to get all this rust off of here. That's what free metal looks like. I'm going to throw it in the sandblaster, clean it up, and I'll see you in a minute. Now that I have all the pieces of my upper rack sandblasted, I need to build my vertical supports. I want the upper rack to be narrower than the bottom platform so I can have easy access to my kayak. I decided to make the top rack narrower by 16 inches. To do this, I made two 45-degree bends in the vertical supports to step them in by 8 inches on each side. To keep all 4 supports identical, I drew out a template on a piece of thin plywood. My first 45-degree bend comes up 2 feet from the bottom, and the second bend is 9 inches above that. I laid the material on top of the template and made my mark. Since I want a 45-degree bend, I cut 22.5 degrees from each side of my center mark. I made my cuts and removed the material from 3 sides of the square tubing. I was easily able to bend the tube into shape matching my template, and I welded everything, finishing the supports. I welded on these sleeves, which were already perforated with holes up and down. Then I created this platform out of the same 100-wall tubing, sleeved these up here. I wanted this trailer to be versatile, so I pinned everything together. That way I can take this upper rack completely off and I can use this as a utility trailer, or I could just tow one single kayak if I don't want to bring this for whatever reason. Now, after building this rack, I had some suggestions that there might be some wind shear forces and moving down the freeway, different kinetic forces, so I ended up adding a reinforcement on the rear, and that's going to keep this thing from twisting back and forth or rocking back and forth. It should be a lot stronger that way. I think it's going to hold up. So altogether, I have maybe $800 into this trailer. I could have saved a ton by going with standard hardware, like I said, but I really like it and it looks clean. So I really enjoyed this build. It was nice being able to have everything the way I wanted it. I do have some ideas for an upgrade. I have some Bazuka tube rod holders. They're for travel, and I'm considering mounting it somewhere, maybe on this top rack here. And I'm also looking into some paddle holders. Well, that is probably about it. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. If you do like the trailer, if you like my videos, give it a thumbs up. Let me know. I definitely appreciate all the views, and I hope you like what I'm doing here. So until next time, tight lines. I hope to see you out on the water.